Good evening, model railroaders, and welcome back to the Second Section podcast, where it's just regular folks talking about model railroading. I am your host, Andy Dorsch, and joining me this evening from Green Bay, Wisconsin, home of the Green Bay Packers, not the New England Patriots, is Mike
I'm already all over this.
Ostertag.
I'm over it. I'm already over the show. Good night,
No,
everybody.
you're,
I am.
we know
I am
you're not.
done. I am done. Good night, everybody. I will see you. I will come back on when the Packers win
Yeah.
and beat the
Be a while.
Patriots in the Super Bowl next year.
Gonna be a while.
It's not going
Yes.
to be a while. Who invited this guy?
He just invites himself.
I
He
know.
just invites-
True.
I
and
know.
it-
He does.
and
He just
we
pops
love
up.
having him on here.
My good Lord.
Despite my Patriots handicap, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
You don't actually have anything like on your vehicle that says I'm a Patriots fan or anything else like that, do you?
On my vehicle, no.
Yeah, on your vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna come over there. I've got some I love the Packers bumper stickers. I'm gonna come out to New England and I'm gonna get one in there.
So as you could probably tell, there was a bit of there was a testy conversation prior to us kicking off the show this evening.
There was no
talking about-
testy. It was not testy.
Oh, Mike
Mike
got
is
his
just wrong. That's all there is to it.
yeah, you got your knickers in a twist pretty quick when we started talking about the Patriots.
All I
It's
heard
all
was the
good.
word Green
It's all
Bay,
good.
and I thought, oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good fun. It's it's baseball season. So who do you like in baseball wise, Mike?
Baseball bores me to death.
Really?
There you go. He got his
All right. Well,
he's not
you are
caught.
officially a Brewers fan. You want excitement? Watch the Milwaukee Brewers. You're officially. I am indoctrinating you as a Brewers fan. You are now officially a Brewers fan.
They're probably better
That's
than the Sox.
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
swept them, so yeah. Oh, the Red
Mm.
Sox. Yeah. Well,
That's what I'm
I don't know
talking
about
about,
that. Yeah.
So we're
You
Mike-
think White Sox, of course.
we're welcoming back Mike
What?
Rose to the show for the 8th time.
8th time. Wow.
8th. Welcome back,
Wow.
Mike. How you been?
Eighth.
Not bad for an old guy. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
My next birthday starts with a 7, so I'm trying not to freak out.
Ooh.
Oh,
There's a lot of rubber on the tread yet. You're good to go for.
I'm not
Yeah.
even remotely done, so
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So what brings you here this evening? We got interest. Well, I mean, aside from the 50 years of Conrail, what?
I think that was a pretty good excuse.
Yeah, but you're back in the publications again.
Yeah, I did get into the April issue of RMC, and that wasn't something that just kind of happened. I mean, that was probably easily 6 months in the works. You know, you have to
Really?
well, it's not that they're that far ahead, but they kind of need to know, like any magazine, I think they need to know what they're doing several months in advance. They don't want to be left, without the right material, and especially when it's like a special occasion. So
Yeah.
the backstory is that you guys obviously know Mike Confalone. He's been on the show a couple times at least.
Yep.
And he and I have a mutual friend, Brooks Bentz. And Brooks had done a nice article on Mike's Railroad. And Mike, of course, did all the photography for it. And after he had done that, Brooks asked me if I'd be interested in doing something on my layout. And I thought, sure, why not? And Brooks had a conversation with Otto Vondrak of RMC, and he expressed interest in doing a feature on the layout for Conrail's 50th anniversary issue, the April issue.
Oh, cool.
So should I click this little play button? I'll bet I should.
Yeah, give it a try.
Yes, I should. So now I know what you guys are looking at. So
Yeah.
I've only been on 8 times, so bear with me. So
yeah.
So I said to Brooks, I said, you can't do a layout feature without a track plan. And he said, no. He says, I'm going to work with you to document the railroad. I'm going to give all that to Otto, and he's going to draw it up. So I thought, beautiful. It's a lot of work to do a good track plan, to do it right, particularly when it's a spaghetti bowl, because what you're modeling is a spaghetti bowl. So even though I had drawn up a fairly detailed plan before I built the addition, I really hadn't adjusted it to reflect all of the things that had changed. But this is the plan that we ended up with, and I personally think it's a work of art.
Holy smokes!
That's incredible.
Brooks and I did probably, I don't know, maybe 4 on-site meetings where we would measure stuff and he would sketch stuff and take photos. He lives a couple hours from me, and then he would call me inevitably and say, I need a measurement of the little wall between X and Y, and so I would give him that measurement. So a lot of back and forth with Brooks. And then when he gave it to Otto, that began the revision process. And for whatever reason, RMC had 1 week less of, production time for this particular issue. It was just how their calendar worked out. So they were trying to put this particular issue together in 3 weeks instead of 4. The track plan was about the last thing to be done between Otto and I. We'll talk about the pictures in a little bit, but let's stay on the track plan. So
Sure.
they were going to press on a Monday, and Otto and I had spent some time on a Friday night, and then a little bit on a Saturday afternoon. And then on the Sunday night, we went back and forth until we got it right. And I was very impressed with his interest and willingness to get it right. He would send me an iteration, and I would look at it and say, nope, this area here is just wrong. So he would then send me another one, blank in that area, and I would hand draw it in, and then scan it, send it back to him, and then he would go into Adobe Illustrator and do his magic and send it back to me, and I'd say, okay, that's good. Now let's go on to the next problem. So we actually ended up going through about 7 iterations on that Sunday night, but by about 10 o'clock, we had it down, and this is the result.
And through all of this, you've got over 10,000 trees.
6,000.
Oh, 6,000.
Let's not go crazy here.
Yeah. Still, geez. But I mean, even holy crap.
So this is just that's a lot of work, Mike, just for one page in the article.
You think? But you really can't talk about any big layout, even a small layout, really, without a track plan. You need something to try to represent how everything interacts. You can show all the photos you want, but they're just these little snippets. There's nothing really that shows the entire thing. So here you can clearly see, if you look over in like the sort of center to the right, that's my original house basement.
This area right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually on the far right, you see like it's got the furnace and stairs there in the middle.
Yep.
So the room on the far right was really the entire original layout. And then it expanded into the Mahoopany area. And then that area where you see Tunkhannock and Ransom, that used to be where all my well filters and air conditioning was. And I ended up moving all of that into the utility area in the center and expanded into that. And then I put on the addition. And, we talked about that, I think, on one show. We had to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then anything at the very, very top, just kind of scroll down a little bit so we can see more of the top. Keep going. Yeah. So that area on the right that says Crestwood, when I agreed to do the article, that wasn't done. But I thought, 9x9 room, how hard can it be? I've got months to do it. So I started on structures and bench work and scenery and what have you. And we'll probably see some of those pictures too. But I just did my clinic on this in in Valley Forge a couple of weeks ago. But it was a very interesting project because it's only a 9x9 room. It used to be where my oil tanks lived before the addition. And that's the room that I had to drill through the foundation to get into the main house basement.
This room right here.
Where
Crestwood.
are you? Yes, exactly. Yeah. See the little dotted line there at the bottom of it, below Crestwood? So that's how you get underneath. That's hidden trackage that takes you into the rest of the layout. That comes out of staging, Allentown staging. So I had to do it. I had to have that giant hole. And if anybody wants to amuse themselves, on my YouTube channel, there's a video of me having no fun at all drilling some of the holes.
I can imagine with the concrete bore saw. Oh, that had to be just bull work.
It was a 2-inch core saw with water with a hose connected to it. Obviously during the early construction stages, because it just gushes everywhere, and it's hard work. I mean, this is the older concrete is, the harder it gets. Yeah. So it was not trivial to drill those holes, and I think I drilled about 4 holes, and I was pretty sure I was going to die. So I almost wanted to. So I called up my contractor and I said, Jimmy, I need men for this. Actual men. So he came down with one of his guys. He laughed. Men. Real men, So he came down with one of his guys and drilled the rest of the holes. But they had a hard time too. And I felt a lot better watching them having a hard time, because obviously it was difficult.
Yeah, that's bulwark. That is tough stuff. This is incredible. Like we've talked about your layout multiple times on the show.
In pieces, right?
Yeah, and just in pieces. And like this is incredible to stitch the whole thing together.
I never realized how big the P&E actually was on your layout. I mean,
so zoom in a little bit again, Andy.
Yeah.
So and then kind of go diagonally to the right. Yeah. So you see where it says Plains and Lion Brewery and Carbon Sales. This is the section I'm working on now. This is the area along the workshop front wall. I wasn't going to have anything on it. And then Confalone came down right after, the thing was ready. And he said, dude, you got to put some track here. So, so I thought about it, and he was right, of course. So the P&E that is you can see the bridge across there, how he's represented the two different bridges. It's actually the same bridge that you can use in 2 different levels.
That's what. Oh yes, we talked about that one time on the show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then you see where it says Malasso Industries. That's that 7-foot long building that we probably talked about that too. That's the ice belt. So that's really the only area of the P&E that exists right now. The real P&E also traveled all over Conrail and all over D&H. So it's one of my favorite jobs because you just get to roam around everywhere, and it's never the same way twice. I met at one of my clinics in Pennsylvania, a guy came up to me, Paul Rice, and he had already sent me some information on the P&E. He used to work for them when he was younger. And he gave me a lot of pictures, a couple of which might be the only pictures of certain things in existence. So a great guy to hook up with. And he came down last year with Ken McCory when it was the Springfield Train Show. They stopped by my place for the first time. So it was nice. It was nice to meet him. But I think you get a kick out of seeing the P&E just starting to take shape.
This is really so cool. So for all of us keeping score at home, Mike, so this layout represents the Lehigh line under the rule of Conrail, 1984.
And there's a reason I chose that date specifically. Several reasons. At that time, the big plant at Mahoopany was still shipping like 100 cars a day. I mean, there's Ken McCory.
There he is. Yes. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Yep. Good evening, Ken.
That's at that time, Mahoopany was still shipping 100 cars a day during Lehigh Valley days. That was their second largest consignee behind Bethlehem Steel. So that shows you what a big customer it was for them.
Wow.
So right around 87 or 88, Conrail found a way to lose that business, and there was no more. They weren't interested in it. There wasn't on the big X that they wanted to do, and
Sure.
when it was the Lehigh Valley main line, they had no trouble keeping them supplied with cars. But for Conrail, this was a line they were trying to ignore for the most part. So by the late 80s, the die was cast. They still continued to get incoming chemicals and pulp. And to this day, Reading and Northern does a fairly robust pulp business with them. I actually get to ride with one of the crews one time, which was a tremendous experience because we got to switch out the mill at Ransom, the tissue mill, and Mahoopany. That's basically what they did in an entire shift. And it was just like a terrific, clear, picture perfect early October day, and what was so cool for me was how often do you get to ride on your layout? You know what I mean? This was what I had tried to do it faithfully. And then when I'm listening to the engineer and conductor, all their back and forth, I thought to myself, geez, this is the kinds of conversations we have when we're trying to figure out things there. So it really made me feel pretty good that I had somehow managed to capture the salient operational aspects of that. So Mahoopany was one reason for 1984. The other reason was now that I was incorporating the D&H in 1984, you could have D&H locos, Maine Central locos, Boston and Maine locos, and maybe not even have one Guilford loco. So for me, it was it was a way of having my cake and eating it too. Getting Alcos back running on the main lines. So D&H runs more mainline trains on the Lehigh line than Conrail. So the line starts in Allentown ostensibly, but it's all hidden trackage until you get around to Solomon's Gap, and that's where it becomes visible. There, right there. Yep. And there's D&H trackage at that point that's shared. And so you can see how there's the D&H kind of behind the Conrail trackage there. A couple of consignees there, Intercities, cold storage, and 84 lumber. That's served by a particular local that also continues on to Crestwood. So it's like a long local that travels the whole layout.
I was going to say that goes the whole layout then.
Yep, most of it.
Mike, how close to I'm already saying this the wrong way. How close to prototype is the actual layout of the track plan in the towns? Like, did you try to stay pretty close to the way it is, or did you have to do a little bit of flip things? And
so I can talk about that a little bit. So when I did the big original layout kaboom, that's where everything in that right-hand original section basically got taken down to the bare bench work and starting over. That was in part from a desire to do it right and lay it out right. So for the most part, the towns are all in the right order, and the consignees are pretty much in the right place. Now, you see where Tunkhannock is?
Yes.
Okay. So Tunkhannock is actually a mirror image of the actual. And on the prototype, that where that branches off to Agway, that's actually a branch line that got abandoned, and it would go off opposite that. So I couldn't figure out how I was going to do that there. And then I thought, you know what? I'm building this in a basement. I got to give myself a break once in a while. So I took the Conrail ZPS and I flipped it over and held it up to the light. And I thought, I can do this here. So Tunkhannock is reversed. But it's in the right order from up the line from Ransom. Obviously, there's some towns in between that I left out, but I'm basically just trying to get all of the things that the railroad operated in pretty much the right order. We're going to ignore the fact that the Masonite plant is on the wrong side of the Susquehanna River. You didn't hear that. That's just where it fit, you know. And
We'll cut that out in editing. We'll cut that part out in
because I
editing.
think there's a lesson in that. Sometimes you have to give yourself a break.
Yeah.
When we get to some of the pictures and we start talking about Crestwood, I'll tell you what I did that is a departure from how it is.
We've got, I mean, Mike's got like the layout kaboom. That was back from the Mike and Scotty days. That podcast. But
and I didn't invent that. Actually, that's my buddy Dave. He used to show up with some kind of harebrained idea and then just grin heavily and said, "Layout kaboom," you know. And and he was generally right. And a lot of his ideas and concepts are included in this overall effort. He and I have been, great friends since, a long time, like since high school. And I've known him since first grade. And he and I have worked on this layout together, I don't know, 30 years plus.
Holy smokes. So this layout it's 30 years old.
Well, it isn't. It isn't. In the original basement, some of the bench work is 30 years old, but pretty much everything else has been changed. I think that I think if I were to put a stake in the ground and say how long have I been working on all of this new stuff, maybe 10 years or so. So it's a lot of layout building in 10 years.
I'd say so.
It's 10 years. If you stay on it, you can get a lot done when you finally have figured out how to do all this stuff.
Hey, before we go on any further with like all the pictures and stuff, with the whole layout kaboom stuff and everything, how long did it take before you actually said, you know what, today's the day this starts? Obviously you're not going to go and do something like that without having some prior planning involved in it. I'm actually in the middle of doing that myself right now. My friend Luke Lemons gave me a concept idea, and I love it, and I want to do it, and it's something I'm going to do it, but I'm planning things like we always use. We're doing the math to make sure the math works out, so that way we don't go and start tearing things apart. Next thing you know, what you want to do doesn't work.
I've always said that the way I model is I stare at it, I think about it, I stare at pictures, I think about it, I take walks, I ride my bike, I think about it. It's only when I have it in my head that I can say, of course, now I know how to do it. If it's in my head, I can do it. So the original layout kaboom, I probably thought about for several months, I would say. I don't think you want to be hasty pulling the trigger on anything that irrevocable, right? You want to make sure you want to do it. And not only that, but make sure that, I bounced it off of the entire layout peer group, got their feedback on it,
Right.
I remember one bike ride in particular. I probably told this story. I couldn't solve a particular issue because on a layout like this, that's essentially a giant helix. You basically go around the entire layout twice. So you can do anything you want with a pencil and paper, but when you have to allow for the proper percent of grade and be aware of the crossing points and make sure it all works. So I'm on this bike ride one day and I'm thinking about it. All of a sudden I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I think I got it. I couldn't wait to get back. I ran downstairs and my bike closed with a tape measure, and I started measuring and I thought, yeah, I can do this. And then I got on the phone to Conrail and I told him, described the whole thing to him. And there was a moment of silence. And then he said, it's a bold move, but I think you should do it. I remember his exact words. And he's not afraid to rip anything out. On the other hand, I'm always reluctant to throw away stuff that I might like or spent a lot of time and effort on, So what I ended up doing was thinking about it some more, making sure that I was certain. And then when you're at that point, you want to do it fast. You take like a Saturday or Saturday, Sunday, and it all comes out and goes out in the dumpster. And it's not a
Oh.
good day. Not a good day. But then everything after that is upward and onward, right? So just rip off the Band-Aid and get on with it, And for me, once I start building again, all is well.
Yeah, that's always good to. I that's one nice thing about my new my new layout concept is I can actually ride my bike down the main line I'm going to be modeling.
That's worth a lot, I think.
And
That's how you get it in your pores.
I know where things are and what it's supposed to look like.
Yep.
Except for one spot. And that is the one spot that this summer, I am going to go and figure out, just like you said, I'm going to go out to that one spot.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit there. I'm going to stare at it and I'm going to figure it out. And I'm like, oh yeah, this will work.
My advice is also take more pictures, way more pictures than you think is necessary. They will end up all being useful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
every time I go down to my modeling area, I think, okay, I think I'm all set. And then inevitably I think, boy, I wish I had a street view of this. Or I'm probably going to go back one more time in the early summer to try to get some street shots, because on that P&E section, I have at least 3 streets that have to 90 degree into the backdrop, and you got to have a photo there.
Sure.
So, absolutely.
But I may not even be able to take those pictures in the actual streets. I may be forced to roam around in Wilkes-Barre or Pittston and just find a street that looks right, because we're talking 84. You know what I mean? So when I went last year, a lot of the streets that I had visited, I said, well, this isn't that useful because everything has changed. It just looked too modern. So, but then I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, the houses in that section of Pennsylvania have a certain style and look to them, So what I need are like old traditional neighborhoods.
Stuff that's been like frozen in time.
Exactly. And there's some places like that. You just have to
absolutely.
I'll ask some of the locals. They might be able to vector me into a few neighborhoods or something. I'm sure I know enough people now down there that I think I can get the info I need.
I remember I went with Mike I went out and visited Mike Frischella out at his house in Wenham, up in Boston several years ago, and he took me to a spot, and he says, hey, check this out. He goes, look down this road. What does this remind you of? And I'm sitting here going, that looks just like your layout. He goes, yeah. This is exactly why I took this picture. Here's where I am. This is how he walked me right through the photo itself.
And where was this on the prototype? Is it on the Boston line?
Well, his line was kind of fictionally, like it was gone, but he kept it going.
Okay.
On the Lehigh, on the Lehigh Valley and stuff, or on Delaware and Hudson, I should say. D&H. But it was, it was
not near Boston. Just saying.
Yeah. No. It was on one of the former gone lines that was taken, long gone, but he said, here, looks just like this. Same thing, kind of thing, but it's amazing what photographs can do for your layout. It just,
he calls it the Williamsport division.
So Williamsport is
probably
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So it's S scale, but he's changing it all now. So
S scale. So he's modeling in like an abandoned supermarket or something.
No, it's in his basement. Actually, it's actually pretty cool. But it's he's turning to the SN3 world. So,
well, the only reason we wanted to just kind of focus a little bit on the track plan is that it's one of the things that I've been most asked for literally years and years and years. And I had started working on this with Joe Fugate from Model Railroad Hobbyist, and I think it blew Joe's mind, and I can certainly see why. So that one kind of stalled. So when the opportunity came to get some fresh eyes and energy on this one, I went for it, and I'm awfully glad I did. So this, for anybody that follows the photos that I post on Crew Call or on Model Railroad Hobbyist or in the various magazines at times, if anybody's interested to figure out, where in the scheme of things, what they're looking at is, this is the only way that I know of to do it.
Right. No, I agree.
So the April issue is a collector's item, folks.
Yes. Yeah. I actually just got
Get it, frame it.
To re-up my RMC.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to do that. Now
Go
that I
back
have
to the cover photo for a minute, Andy, if you could. That was the one before this, right?
Yep.
So when I started taking pictures, I thought, all right, I'm taking a lot of pictures. We hadn't talked about a cover, but when I submitted the pictures to Otto, I had 2 folders, layout pictures and possible covers. So little did I know, I guess he was probably planning to do that, or maybe I talked him into it. I don't know. But in one live session that we did, he has like a template that he can plug any photo into, and that enabled me to see what their constraints were. You need a place for the logo and the barcode and the words and all of that. So he was trying to tell me, how best to compose. So we ended up with maybe 4, maybe 5 possible cover photos, but he wouldn't tell me what he was going to use, which was kind of cool. So when I finally got the final proof and I saw what he had chosen, I thought, wow, that's not the one I would have guessed. And yet it really fits for what they want to do. Now,
that's a cool picture. I like that.
It is a neat picture.
That's a picture I've never taken on my layout before because it's almost impossible to do. So let's talk a little bit about what I had to do to take these pictures. And as a preface, I would say, make no mistake, I am not like an ace photographer. It's not my hobby. My hobby is model railroading. I do photography because it's necessary for articles and to capture, what you're doing. And I realized before I even started that I had to do something with focus stacking in order to get the right depth of field for these photos. All the cool kids were doing it. I wanted to do it too. So I figured I got to learn this. So I had already in the past bought a camera that Mike Confalone made me go out and get. Actually, he found it for me, sent me the link and said, you got to buy this. So I did. He takes great pictures. And I always defer to expertise wherever necessary. So I bought this Fuji camera that I'm really not worthy of, but it's a hell of a camera. It's got great glass. In the way it is designed, the lens sits right at the bottom of the body. So you can very often take the camera, sit it right on the layout and take a picture that looks like you're standing there. Now, that's great, but it's not terribly useful when you need to do focus stacking because you have to take at least 9 exposures. That's the grid that we typically used. And the camera cannot move in between those exposures, or you get something that looks like it's out of an LSD trip. You know what I mean? It's just no good at all. So
Salvador Dali.
Yeah, exactly. So I went out. I've got a really nice Manfrotto tripod and a really nice head on it. But again, for the composition standpoint, you need to be able to get the camera into the layout for a lot of the pictures you want to take, like this one. So I went out and bought a really nice boom arm for it. And then I took the tripod head off, put it on the end of the boom, put the boom on the top of the tripod, and I had about an 18-inch reach if I wanted it. That would hold the camera very steady, because this is not like a giant camera with a big honking lens hanging off of it. It's maybe 3 times the size of a smartphone, say. Sure. So it lent itself to that. So this particular shot, that scene's pretty deep. That you're probably looking at least 5 feet there, I would say. That's
No
that's
way.
that's taken from right above the scrapyard, right before Masonite, and looking down towards Wyalusing. So I took a bunch of shots there, and it's really cool because a lot of the times you take pictures and okay, the front's in focus, the back of it's a blur.
Right.
The engine looks okay, but everything behind it doesn't look okay. Gee, it would be nice if I had the signal bunker words readable in the
Right.
picture, you know.
Yeah.
And Mike C was telling me that he says when you do it right, he says you're going to see that every grain of ballast from the very beginning to the very back is in focus. Every blade of grass, and that's what makes it look real because that's how your eyes see it. So. So I went for it, and I did like a round of photos. I probably took, I don't know, 25, 30 photos, and of course multiplied by 9, right? Because for every photo, you're taking 9 exposures.
Yeah, right.
And then I went out and got the trial version of what the heck is it? The focus stacking, Helicon Focus.
Yep.
And because a lot of people that I knew were using that. And then I fed the results into there, and most of them worked. So what I did was I sent those photos to Otto, and I said, is this what you're looking for? Because again, you know, you want what your editor is looking for, not only for the cover, but also for the article, as opposed to if you're just kind of posting photos for from your own viewpoint, right?
Right.
So we went through each of the photos. We probably spent an hour on the phone. I was impressed that he wanted to put that much time into it. And he told me what he liked about some photos, what he didn't like about some photos, gave me some suggestions about lighting and shadows. And then I went back at it. And I probably took pictures for a good 3 weeks, like every day, maybe not all day, but, you know, like 2-3 hours almost every day, taking pictures, trying to get it right. And it's not, you're not just taking pictures of the railroad. You need to have trains in it, ideally.
Right.
And
Right.
can't be the same train in every picture. So I basically had to run the cycle of trains, road trains and locals, all by myself. And then you spot it, take all your pictures, move it, maybe you go to another place, you know what I mean? So it really was a very involved process. And in the process of doing that, I kind of got our operational scheme a little bit screwed up. And we kind of like get it completely straightened out ever since, but we're very close now. Because obviously I didn't like do every job that you would normally do in between. So a lot of things were out of sequence.
So note to self, if doing an article and having to move trains, beware of ruining your operation scheme.
Yes. It's also helpful to allow lots of time because if you have lots and lots of time, you can just take pictures of your operating scheme. But see, taking these pictures doesn't lend itself to during an op session because you've got tripods and light stands and extension cords and booms.
No way.
It's, you know, and it's time consuming to set up, you know. So I had basically taken the whole ensuing time from when we first started talking about it up until around the first week of January to finish Crestwood. And then I thought, take some pictures, send them in, all good. But I basically took the rest of January to take all these pictures. And then, of course, February was when they were pulling it all together. So I think the deadline, actually, I don't remember when the deadline was probably like end of March or something like that. So you think you have plenty of time, but really I had just about enough.
So that's crazy. Like I don't know anything about writing an article for the hobby press or anything like that. I've never really done it. So this layout in RMC, this was a significant chunk of time. And
it was a major effort that I was surprised at how, but it's worth it, right? Because I got a chance to show the layout in a special issue, and I really hadn't done articles on the layout yet. All my articles have always been on what I'm working on now, whether it's a structure or a particular scene or what have you. And we've all looked at the railroad magazines and see all these great articles on all these nice layouts. And, when you start thinking about how the heck, and as I'm taking these pictures, I'm thinking I could do 4 articles on this because it's such a big layout,
Yeah.
So Otto's job was to take this massive amount of photos that I sent in and try to cull it down to get something that kind of told the story of what it's like to go around the layout, and I think he did a pretty good job. So if you want to start showing some of those, I can talk about that.
Yeah. So we're gonna look at the ones that are in the used in article.
Yeah.
folder? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Let me just pull this down, and I will get the next set up here, hopefully in order. So bear with me. Now
It
this
won't
is gonna.
matter, actually, I don't think.
Pardon me.
I don't think it'll matter if it's not the right order, and if it's, computers seldom have things in the order you want them in, so it's not gonna
Sure.
wreck anything. It's not
Okay.
it's not like a construction thing where you want to get those pictures in order. This is just basically different scenes on my layout, and I can talk about the scene and maybe why we used that one.
Okay. I think I have it up now. So this
Yep, you
is
do.
okay. Good.
So this is an interesting scene because this is the north portal of Vosburg Tunnel. It's almost completely inaccessible to civilians, but I was able to get a prototype picture of it from the front porch of that SD40-2 when I rode on the Reading and Northern that day. I said as we were heading back, I said to Breezy, the engineer, I said, hey, can you stop for a minute? I need to take a picture. So I got a couple of and he was very accommodating, great guy. And I took a couple of pictures that enabled me to model this scene very much like it is. Had I not ridden with the job that day, I wouldn't have realized just how close the tunnel portal was to Mahoopany itself. Because basically, you see the second track there. That's the beginning of East Yard, is the 4 tracks there. And that's one of the 2, arrival departure yards and also car storage yards at Mahoopany.
Is it
There is no foliage here.
Is there a track to the left of that siding track?
Yes, there is.
Uh-oh.
Is that used? Is that usable, or is that just scenic?
Track. That's a stub track. So that's coming from the other end of the yard.
Oh.
So basically,
Nice.
you've got the main that the train is on. You've got the siding, which is basically a track that parallels the main all around the entire Mahoopany. That's where all of the sidings going into the plant come off of. And there's actually 2 more tracks, so you can only see one in that photo. But those tracks, this was a very tough scene to do because, yes, super trees, exactly.
Sorry, Mike.
It's scenic express ground foam.
Yeah.
So if you look up to the right, you can see how there's like the trees above the engine, and looks like there's like a little groove there. You can kind of see it.
Yeah.
That's Solomon's Gap. There's another track up there.
So up here,
at a different level.
Back here.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
There's a track there?
There's a track in there.
Yeah.
But from this vantage point, you're not supposed to see it, and you can't.
Wow.
Also, to the left of the trees in this photo, there's another track that doesn't belong in this scene, and you can't see it from here either. So I had to design all the view blocks so that you could only see what you're supposed to see from any given spot, which was tricky.
So Tom Gazier's right here. It's a train-shaped hole in the wood.
That's crazy.
There's a lot of that on the Lehigh line.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
I love the fact that you have 3 separate lines here, and you can, from this viewpoint, only see the one.
Right. This is a shot, again, without that boom that I got, I wouldn't have been able to take this kind of photo there. You can take a handheld with your cell phone, but you can't really take a 9 sequence focus stacked series of photos that come together and look like that.
It's really cool.
So this is the other side of Mahoopany. At the risk of repeating myself, that grain elevator is Kintner Milling. And when I didn't know I was going to be modeling this area, I was just kind of poking around in Pennsylvania like I often did, because you can throw a stone and hit a train you didn't know about, that it being there in Pennsylvania. It was, at that time, tracks everywhere. And I was going down old Route 6, and above the tree line, I saw the tip of that grain elevator sticking up there. And I said, oh, let's go check this out. And I drove down there and took a bunch of pictures, and I looked at that mill and I said, boy, this is a modelable structure. And I saw how the track fed into it, from the back there. And I thought, I should go see where this track comes from. So I went around the corner and up the hill and down, and that's when I stumbled upon Mahoopany. It just kind of like spread out in front of me, and I thought, whoa, okay, this is serious. And that was before 9/11, I think. So I just drove down in back of the plant, walked all around and took pictures. It was great. And that particular train trip is what made me decide to model this line.
Wow,
That's incredible.
So it's the other side of the Mahoopany Peninsula, and the train will traverse the track that I said, well, you couldn't see in that picture. Basically, it's just making a big loop around Mahoopany and then heading back.
This is really well. This scene's really well done, in my opinion. I like how you have the river in the foreground here, and then it kind of comes up to the line, and to the rail line, and then you see in the background the buildings, and then the hill, and it really, I don't know, it just kind of puts you in, this part of the world, and kind of really, I don't know, just seems like it fits.
I often sit on the basement stairs and watch a train go through there at the right level, because it's like a great place to watch a train go by. But that river curves all the way around the end of the peninsula and all the way around Mahoopany, and that's deliberate because that's how the prototype is. The river, the track along this river, they call the Snake's Path because of all the bends in the river, and consequently in the tracks. And only that Vosburg tunnel helped to straighten out the line a little bit. It saved them a lot of trackage, like cutting across through a mountain.
I like how you did the exposed rock in the back too.
Those are cripple bush castings. Those are really nice shale castings, which is predominantly what you see for the rock in this area. And to get the color right, I actually brought a piece of shale home with me, took it down to Home Depot and had him scan it and mix up paint that matched the rock.
Oh, outstanding.
And I said, I bet you don't do this every day. And he said, you would be surprised. We do stuff like this all the time.
When I was in college, I worked for a hardware store called Blaine's Farm and Fleet, and I worked in the paint department. And you would not believe the crazy stuff that people asked me to scan to get the paint right.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
It's a thing.
Yeah. So question here from Andy Gerber. How deep is this scene?
That scene is probably 18 inches or 20 inches deep.
Wow. Looks like it goes on forever.
Well, when I was driving around that area, all the hillsides, I looked at this and I said, this looks like a layout. The steep wooded hillsides. That was perfect for scenic dividers. So, that cover shot that we looked at,
yes.
that was basically like the train was probably, it's not the same one, but it was probably in the same spot as this train. But the shot was taken to the left and right over the tracks. Looking
nice.
To the right,
Okay.
So you're seeing the width of the depth of the cover photo.
That's cool. That's really cool.
This is amazing. I love this. Man, what kind of bridge did you do in there? Is that a kid?
Bridge?
or is that like a micro engineering deal, or did you scratch build that guy?
Oh, everything's scratch built, but the girders are probably micro engineering.
Okay.
The the castings, the abutments and the piers, Russ Green of New England Brownstone cast those for me. Those are basically
Oh,
custom cast. A lot of the commercial stuff that you buy doesn't really work when you're scratch building things. They're designed to
mhm.
accommodate kit bridges. But if you want something that accommodates the height of your girder, including the bridge shoe, and so that the tracks on the top are just the right height for the land, and you've got the right retaining on either side, you're either scratch building it, or if you're lucky enough to know somebody as talented as Russ, you tell him what you'd like and you give him the measurements, and he just churns it out.
Oh, that's super cool. And then
It's all weathered with pan pastels. That's the only coloration on those abutments.
oh, really? So basically you took it right from him and then just slapped some pan pastels and that was it.
Yeah, I mean they're all pieces that you glue together. Like
Yeah.
the pier has a cap that you glue on, and the abutment itself is probably 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 pieces.
So the scrap here? I'm sorry, I got to ask. How did you do that?
Those are lathe turnings from a guy who had a metal lathe.
I was gonna say those look like turnings from a lathe.
Yeah.
I've got a bag of
Really?
those. Yeah, I've got a bag of those also from a machinist friend of mine. Yeah.
Because that's how they when they shred stuff, that's what it looks like in real life, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
Actually got that from an uncle of mine, probably in the 70s.
It's not going anywhere.
Oh, is that first run? Or is that all first run stuff?
Yep.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that stuff is awesome. That makes, if you can get your hand on some first run steel shavings, that makes amazing loads.
If I ever needed more, I don't know where I would get it. I mean, I'd have to like go to a machine shop and try to be real nice.
I have to be careful. It might slice your hand open. Oh, man.
Wow.
So what you're looking at there is Tawanda iron and metal, and take a good look at it because this time next year it won't be there. I never really finished it. It was always too cramped for that spot, and my buddy Dave lobbied heavily to get rid of it and do the Sylvania plant correctly. So actually what you'll see there in the future is no scrapyard, and you'll see a big complicated looking tank car and loading rack and tank cars there.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a mini kaboom. So this
a mini kaboom.
Here's another example of taking a picture with that boom that you couldn't really do any other way. So this is taken from the lot at 84 Lumber at Jenkins, and you could see where if you had the background blurry or the foreground blurry in this shot, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So that's a different train.
A kapop.
Kapop.
A kapop.
Instead of
It's a
kaboom.
mini kaboom. Mini kaboom is a kapop.
You can talk me into that.
We're gonna have a whole line of Mike Rose t-shirts here by the end of the show.
Yeah, so that was the next thing I was thinking about is we put Mike Rose's face on the front of the shirt and then all of the Rosisms on the back.
Not what everybody needs.
No, I think that's what everybody needs.
Everybody needs that. You just got to show up at a train show and just have everybody with your face on their t-shirt.
Oh, that would be really disturbing. Yeah. Jeez. The story on this train, by the way, is it's basically just coming out of Solomon's Gap, around the corner. I hate to even say this, but I'm going to say it. Around the corner of Poop Pipe Mountain. It's a mountain I built to cover up a plumbing soil pipe. So
I have the same thing, and Mike Ostertag can attest to this. I have my giant stack, my plumbing stack, where everything comes in is going to be. I'm building my layout around it,
Well, you got to allow for access, but you have to hide it. So
Yeah.
I hid most of it in behind the curved corner that's just to the left of this scene. Like you'd never know all of that was back there.
And like Mike Confalone does with you, Mike, is it would be very, very what's a good word to say for me? It would be, I would not be doing my due diligence as a friend if I wasn't trying to get him to at least put 3 or 4 tracks inside that room for whatever reason he needs to do, just for the sheer purpose of I want to see if he'll do it.
I won't.
He won't. Every time I go over to his house, I'm like, you could put this back here and then run this back. And he goes, just stop talking.
I'm not doing it.
We're not doing that. I'm not doing
Sometimes
that.
persistence works. I'm just saying. Around the corner to the right, but out of the shot, is Intercity's cold storage. You probably saw that on the track plan. I have no idea if we have a picture of that or not, but just tossing it out there.
Sure. Yeah, so these locomotives in the shot here, are they all sound equipped?
Yeah, I have 150 fully sound equipped locos with Keep Alives.
Wow.
Most of them have scale sound speakers.
So I got
That's incredible.
So is that do you
Is that an excessive amount? Yes. Go ahead and say it.
No. I have engine envy.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say was, with the size of the layout and just kind of thinking about the track plan, how many power districts do you have for your layout?
I have 4. I have
Okay.
it's all NCE, so the base basically runs the original basement. And then I have one for each of the staging yards or any major yard. You know what I mean? So
Yep. Right.
the idea is the draw is all locomotives, and really staging yards are where you have the most of them.
Yep.
So that was something that Matt Herman and I talked about, and that's what he advised me to do, and I did it, and it's worked out great. I've got a 14 gauge bus that runs everywhere.
Yep.
And every piece of rail has a drop, and I really, I haven't had any issues. It's wiring the thing was not, a 5-minute job, but you just keep doing it as you go along.
Right.
All turnouts are wired with jumpers. They're all mostly Pico. There's some Walthers and some micro engineering, but it's probably 80% or more Pico.
Right. Oh.
Handful of them are powered, maybe 5 or 6.
But then the rest you just throw by hand.
Yep. The layout is designed so you walk around and follow your train.
I like that. I like that a lot. Ooh.
Guess where we are with everything in focus.
Ooh. I think I can tell by the box.
Yep.
I'm going to say Mahoopany.
Wrong.
This once you start doing the focus stacking, now you get to see everything in focus, and that's how it's supposed to look. So the track to the left of this is the track that Lehigh Valley put in to connect with the D&H, and the D&H is basically against the wall. So that sky backdrop is the wall. How deep is this whole scene here? Maybe 16 inches at most.
Wow.
And these are the pups on the Jenkins local.
That's right. Andy he's playing along at home here. This is a cool shot. I like this a lot, Mike.
There's a significant grade to the right and to the left. So the only way I could make the transition up to the D&H work was to raise Conrail in this spot. So I basically cut the whole thing out of one sheet of plywood. It's a big Z, and I'm using the curvature of the plywood itself to get the easement needed to have the grades be smooth.
I see something in the trees back there.
That's probably the D&H, just like the prototype.
That's neat. I like that. If you were to look at this and see a train coming through, you'd be able to still see it a little bit.
Sometimes you do. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
here we are at Pittston Junction. Otto said, take some pictures with the PNE. So I did. This is Pocono Northeast track at Pittston Junction. Paul Rice explained to me that they basically own the track right up to the Frog at the switch that diverges from the Conrail tracks. In this case, the Taylor Secondary.
That's so cool.
I remember this. We talked about this on a previous episode.
Yeah,
this whole setup.
One of the other 7 shows, whenever it was.
Yeah, I think it was show 4 or 5.
Maybe.
We talked about this little spot here.
Yeah, we had just put up probably the photo backdrop that was kind of like a group effort. I took the photos from standing in Pittston Junction with permission from the Reading and Northern boys, and then I worked with Lance Mindheim to deskew the photos, and then I fed all of that into the Confalone machine, and he put it all together in what's really just a killer photo backdrop there. And then then he came down, and me and him and my buddy Dave put it up with a certain kind of wallpaper paste that worked great.
That's right. That was the ticket. I remember us
ranting and raving about
this. Yeah, I remember us ranting and raving about that.
Yeah.
This is cool. So this little guy here, this Pocono and Eastern, what is that, an SW1?
Yes, it is. Pocono Northeast.
At Pocono Northeast, yeah.
In my era, they had 3 engines. They had the SW1, they had an ex-Conrail NW2 still in blue with some of the numbers painted out, and they also had a Jeep 9.
Now look, you did the the focus stacking on this one too, did you?
All of these photos.
You got, like, look at this. You could look at the number board, how clear that is.
Right.
Isn't that insane?
Right. Everything's in focus. I mean, I'm sold on it.
Wow.
It's a lot of work, but it's the only way you get a photo that looks like you're standing there, because your eye does this.
Yeah, this is awesome. I like that little chassis covered hopper too.
That's calcium chloride for Malazzo Industries.
Wow.
Why am I using that car? Paul Rice gave me a photo showing just that.
That's really interesting that you say that, is because sometimes I know I hate to keep referring to him, but Luke will actually sit there and say, hey, check this car out on this train. What is that? And so for like 2 days, we'll sit there and go, well, it could be this. It could be this. You go through the list of cars that are orange, and you start figuring out who had this car, who had this. And you start trying to figure that out, and it's actually a whole hobby unto itself.
I'm a freight car guy. I mean, that's really.
I'm getting to be more and more of a freight car guy as the older I get.
Most of my early articles were on freight cars. They really didn't have a layout.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's really cool to recreate that you're able to recreate photos that you have.
That's prototype modeling.
That's exactly it.
So here's an over-under, obviously staged, but I'm trying to show what's going on here. So down below, you've got a local coming back. This is the Bloom job. He's coming back on the Taylor Secondary from probably Scranton and Taylor in the Kaiser Valley Industrial Park. And there's a Conrail road job sitting on top, waiting for permission to get to do his work at Pittston Yard. So that train stretches all the way around into the other room down past DuPont, and he's probably holding at YG, which is the crossovers before you get into Pittston Junction proper. I had a ball building this bridge. It's built to about 95% scale.
Wow.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, it's some really good pictures of it that my buddy Ken Carlowitz was brave enough to go down there and take pictures of it for me. And I also used measurements from Google Earth and Google Maps just to kind of get the whole scale of it right. But this is the kind of structure that Lehigh Valley used a lot when they had to cross tracks on a skew like this. So it's a very common Lehigh Valley piece of construction.
It just you nailed it here. And
Zoom
like,
in,
yeah.
and you can really see the detail on the girders and stuff.
Like, look at the rivet detail,
Right.
and then even like the locomotive, the weathering. And you got it's a patch out there, but the orange car here.
Believe it or not, I hand painted that car before Athearn came out with it because I was modeling a prototype.
Oh, really?
So you did a patch out of the Eastern Arkansas.
Yep.
Wow. Well, those cars went all over the place. The Green Bay and Western had some.
Oh, yeah.
Here,
Oh, yeah.
they had some patch out cars like from that railroad. Yeah.
So those plastic cars up above are all going to probably end up either in Scranton or in the Kaiser Valley at the big plastics plant there.
Jeez. Oh, look at this. Look at this sign in the back.
So that sign says
Wow.
Duryea Junction. And I was having a hard time reproducing that properly, making it look like the picture that I had.
Yeah.
And one of the Reading and Northern friends of mine, Ed Philbin, sent me a picture of it. Picture of the sign. And I just basically scaled it down and printed it and stuck it on a piece of plastic. So that is the Duryea Junction sign. I'll bet it is.
I can't remember if we talked about it or if we just talked about it. I got a bunch of stuff going on, but did we ever talk about these rock walls, the abutments?
Oh, who knows? But I'll talk about them. So
yeah, like how did you make those? Or those just a casting?
If I look at that abutment, you'll see that the abutment portion looks different from the wall.
Yeah.
It looks like that on the prototype too. I think they use two different kinds of stone, but that's just a Chooch abutment, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
and then
sure.
the wall is Pennsylvania flexible stone retaining wall from Woodland Scenics. Not Woodland Scenics, Scenic Express.
Oh, nice.
It's like a foam product, and it's nice to work with. Actually, you can cut it with a razor blade. Oh, no, that's the real headlight on. Absolutely.
There you go.
Wow.
A lot easier to turn the headlight on than to Photoshop it in, I think.
I've tried to do Photoshop lights. I'm not great. I suck at it. Never seems to work out for me.
I think, I've probably said before that I'm in IT, I'm trying to get off the computer rather than spend more time on it.
Sure.
So I never really wanted to devote the zillion hours into Photoshop that you need to be good at it. It's much easier to give it to Confalone.
If you got a friend that can take care of it for you, why not, right?
He's got that kind of persistence, boy. When he drills down on something, just stand back and watch the chicks fly. That's.
Oh, here we go.
Now this is going to be a cool little scene to talk about. Train or no train, I like this stuff.
This is a lazy, hot summer afternoon at Towanda. And these trucks were actually all done for me by my buddy Blair Davies. He's like a vehicle guy, and he does great work. And he was kind enough to do these for me. And they're too nice to just kind of not have up front and center, So that's where they live.
It's like an old ice cream truck or something with the lockers on the side. This is cool. I like that.
And those are just how he gave them to me. I didn't have to weather them or anything. Just put them.
Oh, really? You did it all up?
But even things like a pile of ballast, you see piles of ballast everywhere.
Yes.
You almost can't have too many of them.
No.
Yeah.
No, I was just looking through one of my Chicago Northwestern books, and boy, there were piles of rocks, ballast. Then there was old ties that had dirt piled on top of them. It's incredible.
When I'm doing a mini kaboom, what is it, a kapop? When I'm doing a kapop,
yeah,
the stuff that I scrape up, I put into a little pile and just put it somewhere to be just like that.
Get a stack of ties that's been sitting there for a while and have plant growth coming out of it.
Yeah,
Zoom in on the foreground track, Andy, just for the sake of enjoying focus. And then go down.
You can see the tie detail.
Yeah, go down even more. No, I mean down. Nope.
Down.
That's up.
This is as far as I can go.
Oh, okay. I got you. I think I meant the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in there.
Yeah.
Oops, that's me.
I never
see this guy
track.
Here running the controls.
It's just track. You know, when you hand paint all of your rails, sometimes you just like gotta look at them and admire them.
Oh yeah. Now, do you get really squirrely with like putting joint bars and stuff in, or
Not yet.
Have you stayed away from that level of madness?
So, you know, you got to figure that everything you're seeing, for the most part, is first pass. I wanted to get everything presentable. I've taken a second pass in certain areas, especially the earlier stuff that kind of needed it. So, for example, at Skinner's Eddy, where we are here, I went back and I added some crossbucks and I added the fence around the lumber place and finished the fuel dealer that had been sitting there half done for years. But there's so much, like my wife worries that I'm gonna run out of things to do. And I tell her you never run out of fun things to do with a layout. Never. That little forklift, for example, was just a metal kit that was a pleasant afternoon to put together and paint.
So let's just peel this back just a bit then. So
oh boy.
Well, no, because I think it's important. There's a lot of folks out there, right? They think that they got to go through and finish a scene completely before they can move on, or you know, just trying to take a different philosophy here of to get it presentable, but then always, Mike, do you always know in the back of your head that you're going to come back to a scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that sometimes enough time has passed that, you know, ideally your skill level keeps going up as you do more and you learn more things. So things that you were perfectly satisfied with before, you might look at it a couple, 3 years later and say, yeah, I want to improve upon that, or I want to add this, or you know what I mean? So, you know, you're always moving forward ideally. I figure as long as my eyesight holds out, I'll be able to keep making improvements.
Is there anything that you absolutely just will not touch when you're doing stuff like this? Like, is there like, do you have is there an absolute breaking point where you're like, you know what, that's a little over the top. I'm not going to add that right now because that's just beyond what I really feel we need to put onto the layout. Do you have anything like that in your head?
Well, like, I mean, like you guys were saying about joint bars, like, I'm sure this was not continuous welded rail in my era, and adding joint bars would be something that would show up nicely in photographs like this. And could I see myself doing that in certain areas that lend themselves to repeated photography in the future? Sure. You know, I've got, you know, like none of my crossing gates are lit up. I've got one with arms that go up and down that I need to someday, you know, put the servos in and make it work. You know what I mean? So there's immense amounts of things to be done to improve the layout. You can always use more weeds and debris and what have you, you know? So I have no fears of running out of things to do, but is there anything I look at and saying that's a bridge too far? I've learned to be careful of that because you might feel like that one day and then, you know, 6 months later, you might think you want to do it, and then you don't want to be on record of saying, "Oh, that's crazy."
And then all of a sudden, somebody sends you a picture, and in the house in the background there that's green, you see it. Oh, hey, wait a minute!
Yeah,
in 1984, that was actually blue.
Oh, well, he'd have a swing set in this guy's yard.
There's a swing set in there. Well, now I got to go and find a swing set, or
exactly.
You know, and that's the stuff that you end up doing, right? I mean, it's
I'll never run out of fun things to add to the layout. I mean, really,
So
unless it results in a kapop. Talk about people. If it results in a kapop, I can be a little annoyed sometimes because I hate to redo if I don't have to. If I'm happy with a scene, and unless it's something really glaring, I'll get to that. I think when we get down to Crestwood, I'll talk about one thing that the picture arrived almost too late.
No, other than that, like the scrap dealer that you talked about earlier, is there like, do you try to just really not mess with the track and just work on the scenery? Like,
yeah, I haven't needed to. You know, I mean, you try to build a track to like military spec grade. And, you're running big trains and the last thing you want is derailments all the time, so everything's got quality plywood and quality track and the gaps in the right place. And if you didn't get them all, the layout lets you know where they need to be. And that's all, I mean, we've been running this layout for several years now. So it runs very well, I would say. Somebody popped up about a question and said, what about people? So I have strong feelings about people. I think that people in pictures can look great if they're good people. But I think when you're standing there looking at it, it's like some guys model a waterfall. Well, okay, it looks fine in a picture, but in person, it's supposed to move and it's not moving, and it just bothers me, right? It's the same thing with people. You have your people all frozen in place like a Twilight Zone. You know what I mean? So
the figure of Andy perpetually waving.
Yeah, if you had some guy sleeping in a hammock, beautiful. You know what I mean? But I'm not a fan of things that should be moving that aren't when you're standing there looking at the layout. You'll notice on my roads, most of the time, all the vehicles you see, they're parked.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that until you said it. Yeah, but nothing's on the highway.
Right.
In the background, everything's parked. There's no like parade going on.
Yeah, it's a personal pet peeve.
That's it. Like,
it just doesn't
look actually
right.
Pretty interesting, really.
It's funny because there's a couple of obviously there's a few different camps, right? There's the person that has every car in basically a parade line on the layout, and then there's the minimalist with nothing. And then but you're right. Like it's funny that you mention that.
These are sleepy little towns, you know what I mean? I'm not modeling Rush Hour in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, the cars
this is the other side from where we just were.
Okay.
So we were in Skinner's Eddy, and this is Laceyville. In real life, you can walk to Laceyville from Skinner's Eddy in 5 minutes or less. They're that close together. And these houses that you see in the background are all on that street. I walked down the street and took good pictures of all of them. And then I sent them to another buddy of mine, Rich Cobb, who's a very well-known, very accomplished structure builder. And he did an amazing job scratch building all of these houses to the particular prototype. I took these photos probably, I want to say maybe early 90s. So they're not too far removed from my era. Close enough.
This blue house.
I like that.
Yeah, look at the lattice. The lattice work on the front porch.
Right.
That's what jumped out at me when I took a look at this.
Now in Laceyville, when we were talking about improvements, so I did Laceyville. It looked like this, but then I went back later and I put the fence around the lumberyard there, and I put telephone poles in, and immediately it was a huge improvement.
Boy, you're right.
Are you ever planning on stringing the wire on there or no?
Nope, not unless I can find an HO scale wire that drapes properly, which you're not going to find.
Yeah, the physics of it, you just
I don't think they scale well either. You know what I mean? Like
if there's springy stuff, but that doesn't.
They're taut. It's not a high wire act. You know what I mean? If you look at all the wires, they drape, and I've never seen that done convincingly without it being too thick.
Right.
Maybe get away with it with high tension towers or something because those are thick wires. But from pole to pole, my imagination fills in the wires.
Okay. That's a good question. That is a tough thing to model correctly, is wire.
Right.
Ken McCory
You might be able
says
to get away
pole
with it
wires
by
are great
using
dust catchers.
But you might be
And
able
don't
to
have
get
a
away
cat.
with it using something like a really thin 10,000ths brass wire or something like that, where you can actually form it. You know what I mean? But then that's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Now you're
'Cause
just
not putting
modeling
in
wires.
one wire.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And what are you going to do? Do the AC wires, but no telephone wires?
Yeah. Good point.
So I choose to omit. So here we are at the Crestwood Industrial Park. This is Dynamit Noble, a plastics manufacturer. I think those cars, note that they're parked. Those are nice cars from Rapido, I believe.
Yeah,
And,
the old
I
station wagons.
got to this stage of construction at Crestwood. I had done Foster Wheeler and I had done Certainteed, and I had like this maybe 18-inch by 2 foot bare plywood thing left. And I could easily have just photographed around it, but I thought I can't just leave this almost finished area like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I wanted to make the plastics plant. I had some prototype pictures, but of course I had to sort of backdate it in my mind. And I didn't really have, a kit, like a Walther's kit or anything I wanted to use for it. I just, you know what? I am going to build this out of whole cloth. I'm going to make this out of stuff I have on hand. And I just emptied all the numerous parts boxes and scratch building material all over the floor and looked at it and said, all right, I know what I'm going to do here. So I took a bunch of Pike Stuff pieces and glued them together in such a way that I formed the vestibule there. And I decided to recess it to just kind of give it a little bit
Kind
better
of a cool look. Yeah.
And I didn't want to model an interior, but that's a lot of glazing, and I didn't want it to be frosted. So I actually, one of the nice things about the group is I can toss out a need for a suggestion, and 5,400 people look at it, and sometimes one or two people come up with something really good. So one guy said, "Why don't you use?" Because I wanted like an amber glazing. You see this sometimes on commercial.
Oh, yeah.
He said, "Why don't you use film leader?" And I thought, film leader, boy, I wouldn't have thought of that. And
where would you get that?
Well, I thought about it. I said, I remember before I was taking digital and before I was taking slides, I was shooting prints.
Yep.
I went to a drawer and rummaged through it, and I found enough film leader to do what I needed to do here.
No kidding.
Wow.
Just
Really?
glued it in place with canopy glue, and there you go.
Hey, I like the switch engine.
Me too.
Yeah, zoom in on the cab ones.
It's another pup.
Yeah, it's zoom in on the cab ones. What do you notice? What do you notice?
No person.
No, the number boards are different than the side of the engine.
Oh, go in. Really? Oh. Look at that.
That's what I was looking. That's what I was down here looking. I'm like, wait a minute, is that? Holy cow! Look at that.
I'm pretty sure that when I was decaling this thing, I didn't feel like putting on many individual numbers, and I said nobody's going to notice that.
Sorry.
Well, that's it.
Well,
but you noticed it without zooming in. That's pretty impressive.
I'm gonna get a package in the mail now. Now it's gonna be my responsibility to re-decal that thing.
Yeah, and right next to the Tom Brady jersey.
Yeah, right. And I have to wear a Tom Brady jersey doing it. Yeah,
you should be made to do it for that remark.
Oh, this gives me an idea.
Those are really cool. Those are, but then again, I am going to say this: I have gotten on engines that have had like not the same number as the number board before. Like when they've been in
Really?
the middle. Oh yeah, when they've been in the middle of renumbering something and just press something into service, it happens.
We're
It
gonna go
does
with
happen.
that story. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good story. I like that. Yeah.
I got the logo for Dynamite Noble off the internet. It's possible to just find company logos and download, and I just printed it out and made a sign.
Yeah.
That's a cool look. I like that sign.
I like the tip with the film leader for the windows.
I never would have thought of
'Cause that's
using that.
like-
Yeah, I don't think I would have either.
That is
It's
amazing.
funny, like
tip.
you mention it, because
But it was like 25 years old or maybe 35 years old in a drawer someplace, and I just still had some.
that's a really good idea. That's what the internet's amazing for, is those ideas.
So here we are at Pittston Junction,
Mm.
and I had taken I don't know how many shots at Pittston Junction because it's such a cool spot, you know.
This is neat.
And but Otto wanted something specific here. You know, he says, "How about you do one coming and going, but also show the P&E there waiting?" So that's exactly what I ended up doing. So you've got a local heading out on the Taylor secondary there in the middle, and yeah, the other two trains would have been waiting for that train to pass, and then one of them would have been given permission to then enter the junction further, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be the P&E. So. But the P&E is on their track, and like I said, they own up to the frog in that spot.
That's
And
really cool.
that Taylor secondary track is a track that Conrail put in when they took over in Lehigh Valley days. Again, I don't know how far back you have to go, but the track kind of went straight ahead and crossed the DLW on a diamond, like where that farthest right-hand White House is, I think. So, there have been a lot of changes to this area over the years. I modeled it in my era.
Wow, that's super cool. This is a really unique shot. I think this is cool.
Zoom in a little bit. Maybe you can see the yard office better. Maybe.
Yeah, we
covered how you
too.
did the awning. You covered how you did the awnings on that.
Oh
one.
yeah. That was another show. Yep.
Yep, we did this in a show.
That was a block of wood for I don't know how long. And one day I just said, okay, you can't just stay a block of wood.
This is really cool because, again, the focus stacking really makes it unreal. And all the houses in the background and the backdrop, and like if you just sit back and stare at it, it looks like a real scene.
And everything in the foreground in focus.
Correct.
Impossible to get any other way.
In real life, this would be one of those shots where if you showed somebody, nobody would believe you actually got it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well,
how the hell did you beat it? 3 train?
Yeah, this particular angle and elevation is basically a drone shot.
Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
I've got the camera over the river, over the tracks, on that boom.
Wow.
And just catching up on some of the comments here.
Those are monster model works awnings.
Yeah, Ken, the scene looks just right.
Yep.
Drone in the 80s.
That's a good point.
It's a low flying Cessna, Randy.
Helicopter shot.
There you go.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
Helicopter shot. That's awesome. This is cool. This is very cool. Let's see what else we have here. Oh yeah, I recognize this one.
Hey, that looks kind of like that cover photo.
Well, that's the reverse. So the cover photo was taken looking the other way. Right now, this camera is hovering over the Susquehanna, looking all the way down towards Ostrom, Slovenia on the left there in the middle, and then the Masonite plant way down, and that's Masonite Road on the right there.
This is really excellent.
So this train coming from the north heading south would be CGAL.
CGAL. So that's
Pointing Gate Mills to Allentown.
Okay.
In an earlier era, even just a year or two before, it would have been BUAL coming from Buffalo.
Wow. You know, there's something about Conrail GEs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about when you think about GEs, Conrail is the railroad that I like jump on right away. That is, they love those things.
Well, that was a lot of the new power that they purchased, and their displeasure with EMD for clawing back. I think it was 100 GP38s that were on lease. They wanted to keep them, and EMD said no, we got to take them back. We got a use for them. And Conrail wasn't pleased, and then GE stepped up and said, "Would you like some locos? Because we can do them."
Yeah.
So, and didn't Penn Central have a lot of GEs as well?
They did, not as many as Conrail. Lehigh Valley had a group of U-23s that made it into Conrail as well.
Yeah.
The U-23 was a very late U-boat. It was practically a Dash 7.
Yeah. Yeah, because Conrail had a lot of the Dash 7s and early Dash 8s, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They had.
Did they ever make it into? Did they make it into the Dash 9 era?
No. The newest engine I think they had was the SD80 Mac.
Oh yeah, yeah, those were great engines. They were not good engines.
No,
those were terrible. I actually ran a couple of them. They were terrible.
Thanks for the comment about the blending. It is true that it's all got to work together, and if it doesn't, it kind of wrecks the scene.
Yeah.
It's a beaut.
Wow.
Here we are at Ransom.
Now that's not what I thought that was.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was a Penn Central unit.
No, that's a N&W.
That's awesome. The whole time I've seen this consist in a couple of other photos, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh, he's got a Penn Central unit back there. That's kind of cool." I'm like, "Oh, he's still got one of the black units. All right, cool."
That would be a bridge too far. All the PC stuff got at least re-stenciled.
Yeah.
But I am guilty of not breaking up a well-running consist, and part of that is that we'll run this train, and then we'll run at the next op session some locals, and then we'll run the opposite of this train. But remember, there's 3 of each train, so you might not see this train, even though it stays as an intact consist for 6 months. By the time you see it, I certainly don't remember it.
See, the other thing I appreciate about this scene right here is the fact that Andy, if you take a real close look, this is obviously staged just for you and I, obviously, with the Milwaukee Road semi-trailer and the Chicago Northwestern boxcar being spotted there. I mean, everybody knows that those are our prototype railroads that we.
Boy, you got the eye today, Mike. Holy smoke. Yeah. I'm still I can't get over the N&W unit yet.
Can you guess what my favorite thing is in this scene? It's small.
Oh. Is it going to be the Ford cab tractor?
Nope.
That is kind of cool. Though. The what?
Much smaller. Zoom in more.
Zoom in more.
Keep zooming. Go to the upper right.
Upper right.
There you go.
Oh,
it's in that scene.
The window's open.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing in the scene.
That's cool. That is very, very cool.
This was modeled after a center spread picture in one of Mike Bednar's books.
Yeah.
And the windows were open, and I said, "Well, I got to do it."
Yeah, right.
And this is a building that was basically created with the help from a lot of my friends, because Scott Mason helped me with the CAD work, and then Jimmy Simmons of Monster Model Works cut all of the sides for these buildings and all the window openings so that they would be perfect like that. I don't know that I could have done it that well when you're talking about repeating all of those openings, and they're masonry windows, so there's no frame to hide anything. The cut has to be exact. So
Right.
it's nice to get that laser cut.
I like the fact that you've gone like the extra mile and actually done the safety yellow with the stair railing, and then the yellow on the pole right there for that. Those are small details that I think a lot of modelers like miss.
It was in the
like just it's in the picture. Again, photos can really help, even if you're doing freelance work,
right?
And freelance modeling. Those are your prototype details are really what you're after,
right?
And that's the stuff like that that can make and break a scene. You leave that just brown, that looks different.
It wouldn't have popped.
It wouldn't pop. No, yeah.
And I always like the way the main line just slams right through the middle of this plant. So that's pulp in on the right-hand side, and then the production on the left, and shipping, obviously, where the boxcars and the trucks are staged. I probably modeled this place half length because it's just like all sprawling, strung out along the river.
That's how those
cool.
mills.
And that building on the right was something I took a picture from when I rode on the line that day. We had to spot a boxcar there, and I said, "Hey, stop the train for a minute." Took a picture of the pulp and loading so I could model that. Well, you can't tell in this photo because it's the other side.
I'm having flashbacks every time you say something like that. I keep having a flashback to when Luke Lemons and I worked from Stevens Point down back to Green Bay, and he'd be like, because he models that line, the Sioux Second Club. Slow down. I got to get these pictures of the telephone poles. Come on, slow down. I got to get this picture. Slow down. I'm sitting there going, we're supposed to be doing 40. I'm doing 25. They're going to say something, Oh, no. I got to get this. Fine.
There was a dog in the gauge.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh my goodness.
So that's Ransom. Next stop for that train will be Pittston Yard.
Scene.
In fact, that's probably the same train.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
So this
one's fun.
Carefully cropped so you don't see stuff in the back like the D&H and other peninsulas. You're just seeing basically what you should be seeing at this end of the yard. This is the northern end of Pittston Yard. And we probably show just
like
on
the
this
walled-in. I like the walled-in bays of the roundhouse. I like that
prototype pick.
Yep.
We had this building on the show as well. Mike went through the construction of it.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
That was a ton of fun to build. I'd never built anything remotely like that.
I thought this was really neat because doesn't this extend into the building into the background here?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat how they basically elongated the engine house.
And that's why the roofs are removable.
Right.
Yep.
Come on along. Get moving.
I don't think my hand's small enough to fit through that opening and go all the way back.
That's cool. Let's see what. Oh yeah, here we go. Over unders.
Yep. So this is the signature scene. So this scene is probably 90% done. And I say 90%. I thought it was all done, but then when you start taking high-res pictures from all angles, you realize, oh, geez, I got to do this and I need to do that. But when you're standing there looking at it, it looks done. And that's mostly because I had to build that entire scene and kind of build out from there because it's sort of it's everything that's in front of it and off to the right. We're talking about many feet of layout.
So I think we may have talked about this one too, but this bridge here on the bottom, that's unique.
Right. Well, I walked down there with my buddy Dave and Tony V Jr., operating in Northern Engineer at the time. And because he said, you got to see this. And when I went down there, I'm looking at everything, and I'm halfway walking down, just looking at the two bridges, thinking, "Oh yeah." And then when I got all the way down there, I'm looking at it. I'm saying, "What the heck's going on here?" That's Mill Creek, which they squeezed in between the abutments by designing a longitudinal bridge on track 2 that allows the stream to scoot under the track lengthwise.
Like this, right? Yeah,
Underneath. Didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I modeled it exact. The stream extends all the way and around the corner on the other side, even though you can't see it, because it had to be right.
Awesome. Yeah.
Here we are back in Tawanda Yard. There's the little TMSL 26, either just dropping off an empty or getting ready to pick up a loaded covered hopper before he makes the long trip through, not much, all the way to Monroeton, and a grain elevator I'll build there someday. In the background is the Masonite plant. You can just see a boxcar sticking out of the end of it.
Yeah.
That takes 4 cars inside.
So this is the blue building in the back there. You can shove 4 cars in the back. Ooh.
It's mostly Masonite boxcars. Loads out.
Yeah. That's
logs
awesome.
in, loads out.
Love it. Good weathering on the rolling stock here too. This PTLX car, I like how you did that.
Tangent rolling stock. There's not much else you have to do to it.
You just throw some dirt on it and away you go.
Yep.
So this concludes this portion of photos here that we have.
So those are the photos that were in the article, and as you can see, it was a pretty comprehensive look. There's plenty of the layout that didn't make it into the article, which is no surprise. And I did cull a few out from the outtakes in the other folder there, if you want to just take a peek at those. I haven't looked at them much myself, so I'm kind of curious to see how they look.
I have them coming up right now. It's but wait, there's more.
Nope, don't like it.
Yeah, this is good.
So here we are at Skinner's Eddy. You probably wouldn't have recognized that, but you can see the cross buck, just a little bit of them to the left there in front of 2808. And 7983 is WMH10, which is the Mahoopany switcher. And he would sometimes have to go all the way to Tunkhannock for empties. So he's just waiting for, that would be what, CGAL to clear.
Oh, there you go. There's the sign on the box.
Yep.
So is that that's obviously a Coke machine?
Yep.
And then what's next to it? Bottles?
Coke bottles, of
Coke
course.
bottles.
Returnables.
Yep. There you go.
Yep.
And look at the hotel sign with the Coke. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's the infamous Table Rock Hotel.
Look at the detail in the picture. You can read it.
That is amazing.
Yep. That's a Rich Cobb build.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
This is a cool scene because before we were looking at it basically from the left looking to the right.
Yep.
Yeah. And
so I was just trying to get different shots where I could play with my focus stacking and like a shot that you couldn't do without that. I wanted to see what stuff looked like.
The boards match, Ron. So there's a
mostly do. It's just those switchers.
So Anthony Borden question: what materials do you use for roads and streets?
So for my roads, I use lightweight spackle mixed with powdered paint pigments. And I usually apply strip wood or maybe some strip styrene if I have to curve it more sharply as the dam for the material.
And like a form, like a concrete form. Yeah.
And I just kind of smooth it all out, and it's usually 2 passes. It's 1 pass to get it mostly right, and then you remove the forms after a day, and then just go back and patch anything that needs patching, or do a little wet sanding.
So you look at the detail on the rail. This is in the same picture. and then in the back, you got the sign.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a cool technology. Hmm.
Did you go 2 ahead or 1?
I think I just went 1.
Okay. So here is also East Yard. Remember, Mike, you were asking me how many tracks were there?
Yeah.
So the train is going the other way, obviously, here. And he's on the main. There's the siding. And then there are the other 2 tracks in the yard.
Wow. That is so cool.
So
That's actually a really, really cool photo that, like, I've seen people take prototype photos of very similar places all over the country like this. And it just, the way that you captured this is really, really good.
I have questions, Mike.
Okay. Ask away. That's why I'm here.
How this turnout, is this powered or is this manual?
Those should be powered, but they're not. Therefore,
Oh.
I never used them.
Are they just pretty? Is that all they are right now? Is just
They're just pretty. Turns out we didn't really need them, but they were there on the prototype, so I put them in.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yep.
Ooh.
Where are we here? We are in Taylor Yard. So those covered hoppers in the background there are interchange. Actually, is that true? No, those are actually in the Conrail portion of the yard. Those are storage and transit cars in the Conrail yard there, because Conrail kept a few tracks for their own purposes at Taylor when they handed Taylor over to the D&H. And like I said, Pocono Northeast runs everywhere. They interchange with the D&H in Taylor and Conrail at Pittston, and I'm probably forgetting another spot, but this engine was brand new, painted in my era and my time of year, so it has almost no weathering on it. And to me, I look at it and just cries for it. But this is what it looked like then. In fact, I'm stretching it a little bit, because if I was really being true to form, it didn't have lettering yet.
Oh,
No.
But I wasn't going to run this thing around with lettering.
Was this an old
Conrail.
NREX unit?
What?
Like a leaser unit before it became a Pocono Northeast?
I'm pretty sure it was a Conrail unit.
Okay.
Late phase Jeep.
Okay.
wow.
That's cool.
Got the 48-inch fan.
Yeah, the big fans on the top. Oh my God.
Right. And there's the other Pocono Northeast engine. And yes, there was a diamond in Pittston Yard so that the Pocono Northeast could cross that track, which I guess went up to the roundhouse. And that track disappears into the trees on the layout, and on the prototype, same thing, but then it crossed the river into West Pittston. We can't do that because that would put him in Taylor Yard. There is no West Pittston there.
Wow.
Dude,
That's
this
cool.
is, man, I can just only imagine how fun it is to operate this layout. Like,
it's funny you say that, because you really don't know how much fun it's going to be to run until you start doing it. Like, everything is just theory before that. And you think it's going to be good, and you hope it's going to be good, but you don't know. And the happy thing about the layout is it's way more fun to operate than I thought it was going to be, because I couldn't have conceived of it. I never really. The closest thing would be operating a Mike Confalone's layout, which is big and nicely done, and he's got a great operational scheme and all of that, very well thought out. This one I think has more complexities, because we've got more railroads and run a lot more locals, you know what I mean? So it's just a whole different operational scheme. And what I found is you're doing the same jobs all the time, but it's never the same way twice.
Yeah.
Like a pleasant surprise. And it all happens organically somehow.
And I think one of the other things that makes it so intriguing is, how you tell the story behind it, right? And I don't know, just from afar, it just looks like, this is really well thought out. It looks like it's very prototypical. Everything is, I guess, as it would be on the railroad, and so it kind of just lends itself to operating well from a person that's never even set foot in the basement, so to speak. You get that kind of, I guess, you get that feeling that, man, this is going to be fun when you start turning wheels.
Yeah.
I've had an occasional newbie come by that to operate, and they've got that 200-yard stare. You know what I mean? They don't know, like you see fear, and I just tell them, just relax. You just follow your train. We're here. We can answer questions. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I don't know, just these little things like the switchers, and the Pocono Northeast. I think that's really cool. For the Pocono.
And speaking of, here's the Pocono Northeast at Milazzo Industries.
That's that big long building, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the 7-foot long one
with a track that runs through it. Yep.
Yeah. And then it's got the grain elevator in the middle for hauling up the aggregate, right?
Well, it's not grain, but yes.
Or the elevator, yeah. Yep. See, I pay attention when we have you on the show, Mike.
You're going to do well on the quiz.
Yeah, there's a test at the end, isn't there?
Wait, what?
Yeah. You're going to have to identify the locale of each of these slides.
Otherwise, you have to.
Can I just put Mike Rose's layout?
Wear a Patriots jersey on the next show.
Not happening, man. Not happening.
This one's good. I like this elevator.
This is a view that I hadn't really taken before, and I kind of liked it actually. This is at Tunkhannock. It's an interesting little town that basically everything except for that little white building in the back. Thank you. That little white building in the back still exists, and it's a karate studio. No silos. This particular coal dealer stopped getting cars in the late 50s, but in my era, it still existed. And I guess probably they got coal by truck, and then smaller deliveries would go out from there. But I had one or two really old pictures of it, like from each angle, and I was able to model it pretty faithfully. I'd never built anything like that before either, and that's what kind of makes it interesting. You look at it and say, all right, this is an interesting problem to solve. How am I going to do this, and how am I going to capture that? Like those silos were like a plastic block material that I wrapped around the silo to get that particular effect. Everything's scratched, basically.
So we do have a question here. What's your favorite job to run on the layout?
That's a really good question, and I'm tempted to say it might vary, because I really like running the road trains. Because you get a big road train on a big layout. Ken McCory knows what I'm talking about, and there's nothing like it. But I love running locals. The Laceyville job is a nice job because it heads in a different direction from most of the other locals. And it goes through some hidden stuff, and it goes around Mahoopany, and sometimes it interacts with Mahoopany, and sometimes it does Skinner's Eddy, sometimes it does Laceyville. Occasionally you'll do something in Wyalusing and head back. So it's a nice long job.
Yeah.
The Bloom jobs are nice because you're taking the Taylor secondary, you're going all the way to Taylor, dealing with interchange to the DNH and from DNH on the way back. You're switching out the Kaiser Valley Industrial Park, and you could spend a couple hours doing that, or over an hour anyway.
Sure.
And then sometimes that job goes all the way to Scranton, which is a whole other story that we will not get into today because you wouldn't be able to understand it. And then the third local that's really nice is the Jenkins job, because that heads down on the Conrail main, does the the cold storage facility, goes through a lot of hidden trackage till it gets down to Crestwood, and then it does the that whole three consignees that are there. Then it heads back and it does 84 lumber on the way back. So that's a lengthy job as well. So most of the locals are lengthy runs, and they all have their own merit, I would say. Maybe it's whatever mood I'm in,
I suppose, yeah. Now you said that this hall and Golden
Yep.
building is a karate studio.
It is, yeah. I don't think
that.
we have a good picture of that in these pictures. It's a very tough spot to get pictures here. This is where my air conditioning equipment used to be. The ceiling's kind of low, and the lighting is very bright.
Oh, look at this.
That's the same train going by Tunkhannock. That there's another one of those trucks that Blair made, and
That's awesome.
that little brick freight depot is still there, believe it or not.
The one on the left or the right?
The brick one on the left.
Okay, that's not brick.
Yeah, that's wood.
Okay.
There you go.
I got it now. It's all ready for the quiz. It's all ready for the quiz.
So this is the south end of Tunkhannock.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy. I haven't been sarcastic for like a half an hour, so I have to.
No, you're good. You were due.
You could burst. Be careful.
I was gonna be
Stand back.
right.
So remember that engine and caboose that was in the hole there, waiting for the road train to go by at Skinner's Eddy. Well, now he's crossing Tuscarora Creek and is rounding the bend. And I liked the shot because it had the Table Rock Hotel in the back. Otto didn't want the caboose obscured.
Of course.
I can't blame him, but I like the shot.
I think it's cool. And the river there, I like that too.
Can you see the ledges up above the hotel? Just a little bit of them. Yeah, those ledges are famous, and I had to be careful to position them with the right juxtaposition to the hotel so that in photos it would look like the real one.
Wow.
Oh, and then there's the Coke machine in the hotel. Now I see he can be taught, folks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very well, Andy.
Oh my. Every time you're on the show, Mike, it's just a lot of it's just me with my mouth open going, wow. Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
This is fantastic.
I can honestly say not a lot of it is extremely difficult. You know what I mean? Like it's all achievable.
No, yeah, it is.
I mean, it helps to have a modeler's eye, right? You got to be able to look at things and say that looks right, that doesn't look right.
And that's the one thing too. I mean, you're modeling a part of the country that if you were to go and take the train part out of it, it would look like this no matter what. Oh yeah,
it's gorgeous.
It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I'm sure, Andy, you've driven through this part of the country before. You know, I've driven through this part of the country multiple times. It's just absolutely, you can't drive down any road, even on the interstates, and not be in awe of the scenery that you're seeing, and
especially in the summer.
Oh my God!
Fall,
yeah,
really.
Yeah. Oh, the fall is phenomenal.
Has to be something else. I've never seen it in the fall.
Yeah, I've never seen it in person in the fall, except for in photos either. But I mean, it's.
I mean, usually my trips there are in my modeling season, so that any pictures I take are right. But yeah, I'd like to see it in fall sometime too.
So if you don't take the time to do these things, you're really not doing the layout itself justice to the prototype justice to the layout, right?
If you're a prototype modeler and you have the ability to see your prototype and kind of like just get it under your skin, you know, that I find that immensely helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a question from the Rock QC branch. Are those forced perspective?
Are those what forced perspective?
I think he's talking about the buildings in the back. and I don't think they are really.
No, they're not.
No, it's just the angle that you're at. It's that
And the
the
depth of
scene
the
is
scene.
just that deep.
Yeah.
Right. You're probably looking through about at least 4 feet here,
Yeah.
Wow.
maybe more.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
That's really cool.
So I think by force perspective, one might ask, well, so are those buildings smaller scale to give the illusion of distance? The answer is no. They actually are that far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That's crazy. So that's
Isn't it?
that's the last one that I have in the pile.
There's more, but you don't have them. And let's face it, we just spent 2 hours talking about it.
Yeah, I don't have them.
Wow.
That's for the 9th appearance for Mike on the show. This was basically you taking us through the tour of writing an article for RMC.
Yeah.
And everything that you had to do to get it together. Like, maybe I asked you, I kind of blacked out there when we started looking at the pictures. Like, what is the how many hours do you figure you had in on getting the photos and the article set and all of that to get
So
it to
when Brooks told me he was going to write the article, I thought, beautiful.
Yeah.
This will be a piece of cake. But then when I confronted having to do, and of course I had to write the captions, but that's not that big a deal. But I basically had to learn how to take photos that were article worthy for a layout feature, And of course I've had a whole bunch of articles. I've had covers, a couple of RMC covers before. But I didn't take, one of them, I had the full cover, but I didn't take the pictures. Ken Patterson took the pictures. I just sent him my cars. He put them on, I think, Mike Buddy's layout and took the pictures.
Yeah, right.
And on another one that I had the cover, there were multiple subjects on the cover. So I had something in the upper right-hand side of the cover. This is my first cover that I had to shoot, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I really did want to get it right. And since I started with not knowing a damn thing about how to get it right, I'm satisfied with the end results. But it surprised me how many photos I had to take and just how much of an undertaking it was because again, nine exposures. And I did experiments too. Like I said, well, if it's good with 9, let's try it with more.
Yeah, right.
And I've learned that more is not necessarily better. Some of it just looked like it melted.
Yeah, it looks like an abstract, painting,
right,
when it's all done. I use Photoshop's focus stacking
yep.
features. I think the Helicon is a little better, a little crisper.
Really? Well, with Helicon, I like the ease of it because you feed it your 9 photos, and then you say render, and then it just makes one.
Yep.
And then you just save that result. Now I will say that if let's say I'm going to do 10 or 12 renderings, 9 or 10 of them will have an error. It'll have a little red, exclamation error.
Yeah.
But the photo looks fine. It's rare, like 1 in 10 has no error on it. I tried talking with their tech support. I tried talking to everybody I know. I tried experimenting with, the order of the grid photos. Does it want them like this? Does it want them like this and then like this and then like this? Does it want them up and down? I tried it all different ways. Nothing I did seemed to influence whether I got an error or not. So if anybody watching this has any bright ideas, I am all ears.
Yeah,
I've never played with it, so
it's software I'm not incredibly familiar with, but I tell you,
simple, you know what I mean? Because I was basically not wanting to just spend a month trying to learn it,
Right. Right.
You know, Conrail just said, "Dude, just do it. You just take the photos and you feed it into it." Okay.
Yeah.
So what's next, Mike?
Good question. What's next is to get the long section of the P&E along the front of the workshop there that we saw in the track diagram.
Yeah.
I'm already working on that. It's long but very shallow, so I think I can kind of knock that off. So that I want to get more presentable real estate for the P&E. That's next.
Yeah.
Cool.
That should probably take me, through into the fall, I'm going to say ish, depending upon how many, grandchild visits get, thrown in there. And,
Yeah.
I've got a few already scheduled. So, and the IT thing is kind of under control at this point. I say that. I shouldn't say that out loud, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Way to go.
Yeah. I haven't noticed anything getting less expensive. So as long as they're going to keep paying me, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah,
Keeps
right.
the brain supple, I think.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
I mean, it cooked all the roots of my hair. I donated my hair to the trap.
You didn't donate it. It just migrated, or it just evolved and went away. Yeah.
It's actually all my son's fault. I told him it started to disappear right around the time he appeared.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. I can.
And he's 40 now, so
He's 40.
40.
Nice. Oh my God.
And he's got his own little 3-year-old cute as hell maniac that's driving him nuts. So I just thought, well, there you go.
Yeah, I've just ventured down that road myself. I've got 2 1-year-old grandsons, and it makes me laugh every time I get a message from one of my boys saying, "You would not believe what Beckham or what Hayes."
Yes,
did."
I would.
Like, well, yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. I'm surprised he hasn't done this. You remember when you did this? So,
well, we did a lot of babysitting as much as possible to help out, and particularly with this last one, the little just over 1-year-old. He's a little cutie. We spent a lot of time babysitting with him, but you can't underestimate that grandparent thing of, well, we got to go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's gold.
Yep,
that's gold.
Couple days of that, it's like, yeah.
I actually took a line. I take a line from my grandfather, who's been long passed away now. He used to say, "Well, Mrs. Shorey, what do you think?" So I started going, "Well, Mrs. Ostertag, what do you think?" It's time to go.
Yep.
Time to go.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
And you got to look for that golden moment and take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what's next.
So that's amazing, Mike. I always love having you on the show because not only do I learn a ton, but it's just amazing to see the progress that you make between each time you're on the show, and your enthusiasm for the hobby is infectious. I got a long weekend. I know what I'm doing. I'm building trees.
Do something.
I got
things get done when you actually do something,
Yep.
And I think procrastination and fear of, not getting something right or whatever, I mean, I used to do weathering clinics, and I'd show people certain techniques that were reversible. And that was very popular because it removed the fear of ruining a model. There were a couple of things that I did with oils and with alcohol dull coat fading. They were completely reversible. So that was popular. And I did that a lot until I got sick of doing those clinics, but I still use those techniques myself. And the thing is, and I think I've said this before, my office is on the premises, and I walk through the train room to get to my office. So sometimes it takes me a while to get to my office because I could glue this, So, but I just like, I like building. I like doing stuff. And I think that if you can kind of get yourself into that mode of actually working on your railroad, it'll get done.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I've been doing a lot more lately, and it's starting to move. I love it. So
my work is done here.
Yes. So Mike, what'd you think of this show tonight? Let's do the awkward Mike Ostertag on the hot seat. What do you think?
Well, I tell you what, it it never ceases to amaze me that when we have Mike on the show, that we can take a look at a photograph that we've seen before, and I think there were a couple of them that we've seen before,
Seen angles of before,
and
Right.
we find something new that we never picked up on,
Yeah.
and it
Arguably, these were better photos. So
Yeah.
maybe
well,
you couldn't see 'em.
I mean, not even that there were better photos. It's just the fact that the level of detail that was brought out in the photos this time is just made things so much more. I hesitate to say the word transparent as to how things are supposed to look, but they just look right, and it
That's
really it just looks like you're in central Pennsylvania, or it just you can't not see this and not think that that's where you're at. And sometimes you go to layouts and they're like, well, this is supposed to be this spot, and you're like, okay, I guess I kind
You
of get
should
it.
be able to tell by looking at it.
Yeah, I guess I kind of get it, but there's no doubt where you're running from in that, and it's and to the drawing of it, the inspiration, my God, just in the
yeah,
just the small subtleties that are on your layout are enough to should be enough to inspire anybody to want to just do something else on their layout. And I guess that's a big thing. Is one other thing is you never shy away from how easy something actually is or how difficult something actually is. And I really respect
I'm just
I respect that big time. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for how you translate your modeling, because it really, you don't ever make anybody feel as if they can't do it themselves. And by seeing your stuff, it's just every time I can't wait for Sub Sandwich 2.0 to show, that show is going to be, it's not show 10, it's Sub Sandwich 2.0.
I gotta get
I
these
would be
shirts made.
remiss if I didn't give credit to a lot of my modeling friends who have been, generous to share their techniques. I mean, we're all one big happy family, so I picked up a lot of stuff from all my railroad buddies. Everybody's got something to contribute, and we work on each other's layouts, and there's certain specialties we have. So maybe on somebody else's layout, we'll do like that. And then they'll do their specialty on mine, you know what I mean? And it's it works out great, because you can't be like an expert at everything, but you do have to be pretty well-rounded to be a model railroader. And that's what I like about the hobby. Scratches a lot of itches.
And you also got to be open to, you have to be open to criticism also, to a certain point, right? I mean, if something doesn't look right and somebody says something doesn't look right, you know what I mean? Like,
there's criticism and there's constructive criticism.
There's constructive criticism, it's like, and I just can't get over like I said, I can't wait to get, I would love to come over and operate that layout. I probably would never make it all the way down into the basement without like stumbling over my jaw or something.
Stroking out.
Yeah, you'd have to call the EMS in order to,
Well, it's a ground level access into the new train room.
Oh, so. Perfect. And they can just drag me out through a window then.
I figure someday they'll have to wheel me through that door.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and an honor to have you on, Mike.
I always enjoy doing this show.
It really is. And congratulations, by the way, on another cover. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's now I got to start building again.
We got a good mentor sitting right here in front of us, Mike. I think it's time for us to get to work. Speaking of which,
it's time.
Speaking of which, we're back to work here at the second section. So we took a little bit of March off, but April, we're all knobs on 10. Next week we have, I think according to my scribbles, have
Ken next week, right?
Ken McCory is coming back on the show.
Great.
Yes. And so just as soon as you get your jaw, relocated back in your
Ben's
skull.
layout is a little bit bigger than mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, when
This
he
is
came
just
first
this is
time-
just this is the series of guests that I just really need right now. Is I'm in the middle of trying to figure things out, and this is exactly the way I need things to be
Yeah.
going.
And
Well,
then
so to put it in perspective, when he came over last year, I said, "So, what do you think? Yours is about 10 times bigger than mine." He looked around. He said, "About 3." I said, "Really?" But see, he's got like this big room, totally clear, no obstructions, purpose built.
right.
It definitely looks better. It definitely
He's a
looks
good
bigger.
sport too.
Oh my god, yeah. Next week is going to be a blast too.
Yeah. And our fans love having you on here, Mike, that's for sure. Everyone loves you on the
Well,
show
we'll
here.
see you in the fall. Maybe I'll have something to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the fall, that long?
Well, we've been doing it like twice a year, haven't we?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
it's
think
at
we have. I
least
think it has been. Yeah.
every 6 months we have you on. So
All right.
yep. And then again, if you haven't, in the show notes for tonight, I'll put Mike's details out there for his Facebook group. And then also, like the banner says, mrhobby.com. We want to make sure that you check out Mike's little hobby shop that he has there.
Yeah, my spare time I do is a slew of locomotive sound installs.
Yeah.
No steam, no N scale.
HO diesel only.
Right.
Man,
You learn these things.
yeah, a man's
If it's
got to
not
know
blue.
his limitations. And that's for sure.
Yep.
And then again, if you want to continue to have the fun here with the section crew, check our Facebook group out, Second Section Podcast, the Crew Lounge, where we're posting a bunch of stuff about the podcast, but then also just like over at Mike's Facebook group, there's a lot of modeling tips and techniques going on. So excuse me, two good spots to hang out and get and scratch your modeling itch. So yeah, thank you again, Mike. I gotta say, this has been a fantastic show. We got Ken McCory coming on next week. It's going to be a blast. And what we always say here at the Second Section Podcast, when your layout kapop turns out to be a layout kaboom. What do we say, Mike?
Just keep modeling.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, buddy.